By the time they get that old, they got a couple of kids.
Maybe. Not necessarily, though,
Not
Linda.
all the time.
Not necessarily, Linda.
I disagree.
In the Black community.
In Georgia, where I am. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's me, Linda B. Welcome to the premiere show of the Linda B. Show. Today, we have a great show. We have some special guests. We're going to be talking about relationships between Black men and Black women and how hard it is out here in these dating streets. I hear it is hard out here. And joining me today, now before we get into it, I want you guys to remember to smash that like button, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. Stick around to the very end. This is going to be really, really good. I'm going to bring in my special guest. Joining me first is Dr. Marjire of Marjire Reacts. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Miss Linda? I love your introduction.
Oh, thank you so much. And we also have Jeff Soretta of It's Not Your Fault.
Hello, ladies. How are you? Wonderful introduction. Thank you so much.
Yes. Welcome. All right, guys, you know what's up. You know, we got some talking to do. I've been hearing a lot of things, and it's going across all age groups with the difficulty of finding that special someone. Now, I know we are focusing on Black men and Black women. And Jeff, you still got something to add to this conversation.
Don't adjust your screen, folks. I'm white.
Don't adjust the screen. Everything is right. He is not real light skinned.
Okay.
I'm your brother in Christ, though.
Amen. Now.
And I am so glad to have you guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. But before we really get into it, I want to share a couple of clips with you guys first, okay?
Yeah.
And just give me your thoughts. And then, we just going to kind of talk about this thing, okay? All right. So here we go. All right. She is, and it says dating a Black man, guys, dating a Black man. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of chasing a man, let me teach you this feminine energy technique. I'm a feminine energy coach, married, and I've helped several women get engaged in under 1 year. This message is specific for my Black ladies. I am a dating coach, and I also have a dating network. And I must say something that I don't like saying. If you are looking to date a Black man, the odds are not in your favor. Now, I'm a data person. I studied psychology, and so I did a lot of time of doing research. And the research is showing that there is a small pool of Black men who are educated, who are doing well, and are actually successful and are looking for other Black women. And now what the data is showing me is that Black men are very aware of this. And because of this, they think they are the prize. And so what I'm now seeing is that there is this pool of Black women, specifically in their 30s and 40s, waiting around for these men that are Peter Pan to grow up and actually be ready for a relationship. And I'm going to say this, ladies, some of these men will never be ready for a relationship. I know plenty of men in their 40s and 50s still going around and playing like they are a bachelor for the rest of their lives. Because of this, ladies, we need to start thinking outside the box. And yes, I am married to a Black man. But the truth is, before I married my Black husband, I actually told him when we were getting to know each other that I was very open to other races. And ladies, the truth is other races are open to you. That is why pasta and lobster is blowing up on TikTok, especially if you are a Black woman, to be open to all types of men, all shapes, all colors. Because to be honest, if you're waiting around for that Black man who's 6 feet, making 6 figures, you may be waiting for a long time. And I'm putting this out there, ladies, because like I said, I see the data, I see the numbers. I'm talking to Black men all the time. And the truth is they're taking their time and sometimes they're not checking for you. Ladies, leave in the comments below. What do you think? What are you seeing? I know the dating streets are tough out there. And of course, if you're looking for more feminine energy and dating tips, make sure to follow me.
All right, guys, what do you think about that?
I hear a lot of that, and I'm totally in favor of people dating outside their race. Just like Brother Jeff said, it's about people in Christ first of all. Screw the color, because people is getting killed by their own race every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all like, who does God have for you? Forget the race of people. I mean, I'm blessed to have married a Black man. We got married young,
mm-hmm.
but he's also a man submitted to God. and that's his number one identity is in Christ over being a black man. You know, over any of that.
Right.
Half time he walking around like he don't feel like no black man. so you know, because he all right, okay, because he like I got the privilege of a white man. He carries himself as that. He don't carry himself like a victim, like a lot of black men do. I can't do this and I can't have this because of whatever. He don't use them excuses. So
okay,
yeah.
And what do you have to say about that, Jeff?
Well, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, confuse age with maturity. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't really. I mean, I've met people 18 years old that were more mature than people that were in their 50s.
Right.
It's a question of, and it all starts. And I got to tell you, ladies, you're both mothers. It all starts at the home and how they're raised. And once they're set out of the nest, their influences early on will directly affect their relationships with women later on, how they treat them. And it's obviously it goes both ways because women get raised by their mothers and fathers also as well.
Yes.
But if you don't have a strong male figure in your house growing up, it's almost like a get out of jail free card to not be the best person you can be. And I don't think that's fair. I think that everyone should try and be, and like you said, Marjire, if you from the very beginning don't look for, I'm looking for a Sagittarius with brown eyes, with one pierced ear,
right,
who drives a Lexus. No, when I started dating, I just wanted to find somebody that believed in God as strong as I did, and then I knew everything else would kind of fall into place from there. And,
Exactly.
And I dated when I was in the Navy. I dated anything that would move, first of all, but I wasn't putting emphasis on looks or means. I wanted somebody that could identify with things that were important to me, and that was God and family.
Right.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. And for me, guys, I've been married. It'll be 24 years in February.
Congratulations.
And so thank you. And it's been a great marriage. My husband makes me laugh. He's ridiculously funny.
What a blessing.
He's so funny. Oh my gosh. And I do agree with extending our horizons into not caring about the color of skin, because at the end of the day, what our skin color is like the least important thing. It's our character. Yeah. And I do find, though, that if I'm going to pick a group of people that are least likely to date outside their race, I am going to say Black women.
Yeah, for sure.
I had to, because I'm just looking around, and then I looked at the data, and then just looking around. Now that number is changing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's changing. Black women are like, bump this. I'm going to go with Chad or whatever his name is. Juan.
Yes.
Whatever.
But
growing up, we wouldn't do that. I did, because I didn't care. I'm like, bump it. He cute. I don't care.
Okay.
That's just me.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, you're gonna do that? I mean, because I just never thought of it as, it's a guy, right? So why does it even matter?
Is that a taboo in the Black culture? Because I see a lot of people, when I see the advertising on television, I see no problem with having a Black man and a white woman together, but it's rare to see a Black woman and a white man in a commercial. I'm like, is that a taboo or something? Or is it not thought of, or what?
Well, I will say this. At one point, you did see white men and Black women in those commercials and TV shows and movies.
Yeah.
But at one point, a few years ago, it was always a Black man and a white woman.
Right.
Now, I don't really see those commercials anymore, but I also don't watch TV.
You're smart.
I don't watch TV, so I don't know what kind of commercials.
Just watch YouTube. The Linda B Show.
I watch YouTube.
And Dr. Marjire.
Amen.
I don't even know what's out there. But back to what I was saying about ethnicity, I think Black women feel like they're betraying Black men if they date outside their culture, especially if the man is white. Black men don't carry that same burden. They freely able to do so. But the same Black men that don't want to date Black women will get mad if they see a Black woman with a white man. So they are tripping. It's like, wow. I heard that they really treated Serena Williams really, really bad. They just say, you read the comments and you're just like, wait a minute. All these NBA and NFL people and their wives, they're not Black. So why is there an issue? You know what I mean? But still you got Black women that are of age that are saying no, they still don't want to do that. They'll just wait for their IBM, their ideal black man. And I'm saying that is not a good idea. If you're watching this video right now, you need not to do that, because women that I see saying that, they're in their 50s and 60s saying that, and they're still alone. So I'm just saying, our decisions have consequences. Okay. So are you able to spend a longer time alone because you have such a definite thing that you want? I would say be prayerful, and God, send whoever you want me to be with, whatever he look like.
Amen.
Hey, you send him, he must be all right. Just
amen. Yeah,
that's me.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. Is it society? Is it the television, the media that puts all these constricts on what we should supposed to like, not like? I mean, when I was dating my wife and she was in California and I was in the Navy, I was in Norfolk, we used to have these things called phones in the kitchen, a long cord on them. And I'd sit there and I'd be on the phone for 3-4 hours. And of course I couldn't see her. I could just close my eyes and I was with her.
Yeah.
We put so much emphasis on looks and things. It's crazy because, your soulmate or your life partner, or whatever you want to call it. I call it soulmate because I believe in a soul, is someone that should their beauty and their identity should show through if your eyes were closed, if they're on the other side of the country, whatever.
Yes. Yes, I totally believe that. What do you think, Dr. Marjire?
Yeah, what I think the discrepancy is, this what I've been hearing about this all week and thinking about it, and I'm like, Lord, what is the discrepancy between black men and black women? But I think we've developed kind of a self-hatred. People, you hear a lot of black folks have issues with their parents. Either father wasn't around, or if the mother wasn't around, she was abusive in a lot of cases. And I think a lot of that is spilling over into our relationship. So you see men having, they not growing up with a man in the house. That affects how how men, young boys, when they get older, how they view women, how they treat women. And then, like myself, growing up in a house without my father, not really initially having respect for men or understanding what it was even like having a man around. So I really didn't have an appreciation for my husband until later, where the Lord had to really deal with my soul from the inside out and realize, like, you weren't raised with a man around, so you don't know what a man looks like.
Right. You
don't know how a man is supposed to act. And in the men I did have around were in abusive relationships. They were like, they didn't know their value. So dealing with a man that knew his value and knew the Lord was new. I had to learn a whole new language. So I think a lot of it is self-hate. A lot of it is, self-hate in the black community. Black men, angry with their mothers, so they don't really like, or angry, they've been around black women, talking and just talking, right? Not really doing anything. And they use that mentality and take it over into their relationships, if they have relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all, it's a lot of instability that just goes on generation after generation. And it's so frustrating. It's because nobody's taking accountability. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And also I think it has a lot to do with the disruption of the black family.
Yes. Yeah.
Policies.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Like,
yes, thank you.
Welfare. I'm just saying,
That's it.
Welfare, taking the black man out of the home. And so just have mothers and grandmothers raising these children, and there's not that balance. God has it with one man and one woman for a reason, because there's things that the father brings and there's things that the mother brings. But you're not getting the best of both worlds when you have one or the other. And I hate to say this, it's even worse if you have a single mother rather than a single father. Single fathers are actually doing better than single mothers, provided they in their right frame of mind. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for some reason that's just the case. And we just got to address those issues. Family is very, very important. A good family structure is like the cornerstone of everything good. And when that is messed up, it seems like it just breeds a lot of bad relationships. Not that God can't heal. God can heal all, but you're going to come across some bumps in the road. You know, you're just going to come across some bumps.
One thing I've learned in my studies with my channel, which is more recovery based, is that your social makeup, your personal foundation is built at a very young age, and those formative years of 14 to 23 for a man are very important because it's the same sex parent. So in other words, if you're a woman, a daughter, your daughter does look upon the mother as what she's supposed to be like, her role model.
Right.
The same sex parent is the influence on for our son, it's the father. If there is no father in the household, he's going to lose those skills of how to be, I don't want to say manly or chauvinistic, but be more of what we look for in a man as far as certain things. And they end up going into the world. Doesn't matter what your color is, but they end up going into the world, being raised by a mother and looking for a mother. So they look for someone that's going to be they're not going to go out and say, I want you to be my mother, but they're going to look for something that's going to meet.
They're not going to say that.
But
they're looking for somebody that's going to wash their clothes, do their laundry, pay their bills, take care of them. They're looking for a mommy, not a wife. And that's formed early on.
And I think this is going to bring us into my next clip. I'm glad that you mentioned that.
White women, they want somebody to obey, do what they say, go by their rules. And they think a white woman gonna do it. No matter what color she is, she's still a woman. It all depends on what kind of woman you get, black or white. See, these black men, they be watching these movies, right? Whatever they see on a movie, they think they can get it with. Just because she white, that don't mean she gonna take care of you. That don't mean she gonna let you lay up all day and don't pay no bill. That don't mean you gonna sit and play the game all day and watch TV. That don't mean you gonna use her car, she gonna buy you a car, you gonna have a happy life. Some of y'all men want to be cheered. You look grown, you look old, but your heart is not. That's why y'all be throwing these temper tantrums when you can't get nothing. You got no patience, no understanding. When a woman can't do it, she can't do it. When you can't do something, you can't do it, right? So what makes you so special? I'm just being honest. I ain't talking about nobody. This is what I heard. One black guy told me that white girl let you do whatever. Let you do whatever. Have your way. So white women, is it true? Yeah, I don't know. But I done heard some black guys tell me that. So I know y'all ain't walking around here doing everything for these men and you ain't getting nothing back. Let me know what y'all think I do.
Well, that just led into when you just said that. I just had that clip.
Yeah.
So there are some men that he said you look old, but you act like children.
Yeah. I had a white homegirl when I was in high school. She said, beautiful, beautiful girl. She was she said black men didn't like her because she wasn't the white girl they expected her to be when she would get with them. Like she, just that, you let them do whatever. She like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not, you ain't just going to be doing whatever. And they did not, she said black dudes don't like her because she wasn't putting up with whatever they thought white women supposed to put up with. I'm like, I know that's right, girl.
Yeah, I think that's just a perception, that is a perception that is out there. And I guess their perception is their own reality until they get a reality check.
Yeah.
That somebody is not going to put up with that. I mean, who a woman wants a man to lay up and just not work and play video games? I mean, that is not attractive.
Yeah.
That your sexy went down to zero. Yeah. I mean, that is not appealing.
Yeah.
It's just not. I'm not your mother. Okay. You should have been raised already. You need to be taking stand on business. You need to be able to pay bills, keep a good credit score.
Yeah.
Handle things, keep down a job that's going somewhere, be able to manage the money. And I don't say you have to make like all the money in the world, but what you do make, be responsible with that money.
Yeah.
So I have a problem with grown men laying up and not wanting to work. That's a no.
Yeah. Men who want to do that should not be in relationships. If your game is your priority and you're not interested in, being responsible for other people, your wife, your children, or otherwise, you should not be in a relationship. But people get in relationships for sex for the wrong reasons and then start finding out the truth about people once they already trapped. You trapped now.
Right.
Those are man children. Those aren't men.
Yeah.
They my wife always tells me, She says, you know, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter if you buy me flowers. It doesn't matter if you make me, you know, if you, you know, no matter all the cards and diamonds and jewelry. She says, when I come home and find you vacuuming the house, that's the most amazing thing. She says, you know, like this past week, if I'm doing the windows or steam cleaning the carpets, she says that's because she's active service. Her love language is active service. So she wants to see things being done for her.
Right.
Me, I like my love language is time being spent, personal time being spent one-on-one, just watching a movie on television and rubbing her feet or something like that. That's fine with me. Just having time with her.
You know, the feet rub.
Oh God, yeah, that's 35 years. I get the remote and she gets the foot rub.
Okay.
Oh, look at well, she trained me a long time ago. She said, "This is how it's going to be. Rub my feet, watch whatever you want to watch."
Amen. That's the truth, though, Mr. Jeff. See, that's what people don't like about marriage. It's you're training each other. Everybody wants to be in control of the other person, when in reality, it's like you have to control each other. Not even control, but train each other how to love each other, how to deal with each other. And that's what people don't like. People want to do what they want to do, what they feel like doing, but don't want to listen to what the other spouse, what the spouse is saying, what their needs are. And I know that's what I'm keep realizing too, is a discrepancy between men and women, is everybody want to be in control. Nobody wants to be controlled, but nobody is controlling themselves. Right?
One of the worst cliches I hear all the time is, marriage is 50-50. No, it's not. It's 100%, 100%. You should be giving your best. And she gives her best. That's because if you're giving 100, she's giving 75. That's and then of course, as you get older, if you've been married for a long time, that's when those skills, because once the kids move out and it's just you and her or you and him, and then she starts chewing her popcorn too loud, and you look over and you go, "What's wrong with you?" Because it's little things like that.
Right.
You have to find the things about why'd you fall in love to begin with?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the things about my wife I fell in love with were the small little things. The way she sneezes, the way she combs her hair, little things like that. But if you're looking for the 10-carat tennis bracelet or the new Benz out in the driveway, that's material.
Yeah.
And my priest told me a long time ago, you know why there's no trailer hitches on hearses? Because you can't take it with you. So
and I just want to bring it back to what we were talking about. One of the things I noticed in the Black community is that the men tend to wait longer to propose, to make that, not in all instances, of course, but generally speaking. When I look at the white brothers and sisters, Jeff, you guys seem to get, as an average, you have exceptions to every rule, but as an average, you all get married younger, in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing. I have a relative she's a female, and she is in her mid-30s, and she's been dating this guy like for some years now, and no ring on the finger. That is insane to me.
That's crazy.
And I see that happening a lot, and I see women who, as she's educated, I see educated Black women succumbing to the fact that they are in their mid to late 30s, possibly older, choosing to have a child out of wedlock, rather than go through the rest of their life without being a mother. That the thought of that is just too painful to bear. So they're able to take care of the child and all of that, but I've seen them intentionally. These are grown women. These are not your 16, 17-year-olds. These are not teenagers.
Yeah.
And they intentionally are doing this because they don't want their time, so to speak, to run out.
Yeah.
And why that's the problem with Black men, to me, it looks like it's, because the woman is ready. And I've seen women try to ask a man to marry, which in my personal opinion, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
That's me. If you got to ask him and he didn't ask you, oh Lord.
Yeah. I think the issue is that women are saying that these are their demands, but they're not meeting their own standards. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like, and that's what I tell single women all the time. If you think you're going to tell a man, or if you're going to tell a man, you're going to wait till marriage, actually wait. Because what women are doing is giving over their bodies without a commitment. So the men are like, well, she's not requiring a commitment. So she's showing me it's not a requirement for me to get her body. So as long as she's willing to give up the body without the commitment, he gonna take it. And then women want to set their terms after the fact. And he like, what's the difference now? You already been doing this. You already been doing that. You know, like old school, as they say, why I'm gonna buy the cow when I'm getting the milk for free? And it's like women refuse to, but like I hear a lot of single women say they want the sex just as much, if not more than the men. So they're not willing to sacrifice that because men and women in their minds are like, if I don't have sex with him now, he's going to leave. If I don't give it to him, he's going to leave.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. So marriage isn't even it's like, it's not even I don't even know, like it's not a value. It's not valued in the Christian community. Let's not even talk about black folk. Okay. In Christian communities.
Right.
It's not valued. And that's frustrating.
Yeah, I do see, this is probably a subject for another day. We can talk about the church, stuff that's going on in the church.
Amen.
As we say, I'm a Georgia girl in the church.
In the church.
But you see a lot of things going on in church that should not be going on, and things are morals are being compromised, the standards are not there, and people are just going along with all this stuff. But in the Black community, like I say, it just seems like the men are not willing to commit. Me and my sister have this term, and you guys tell me what you think about it. Black men have babies' mamas. White men have ex-wives. Because it seems like they'll get married. They may get a divorce, or so whatever. But Black men have a lot, I've seen them have babies over here with this person, some babies over here with this woman. And I've seen women have babies by different men, that's another problem. Because then you're having this person having to take on not just the parent, the father of this one child, but you got like 2 or 3 by a couple of different folks. Now they got to deal with this one and that one. That's a lot.
I think Black folks ain't training their kids up to be wives and husbands. It's not even a discussion in a lot of Black households. My children are raised to be, I remind my son every chance I get that he is a husband, and any girl he's dating, he better respect her and not be giving over that stuff unless he's making her his wife, because he's disrespecting her. He's disrespecting God. He's disrespecting himself. It may be pleasurable, but I'm like, you better be ready for all the demons that come along with you having sex with that girl. But that's not what we're teaching in church. We're not teaching it in homes. So because I'm so heavy on relationships, I have teenagers, and relationships are their whole life. Okay. They always, every chance they get, they got somebody. They got to have somebody, or they looking at somebody they about to grab hold of. And it's like, you better keep it innocent. My son is 18, so he dating some little girl right now. Keep it innocent for as long as you can, because I'm like, my husband and we were young. We had my oldest daughter when I was 15, and we were ruining each other's lives with premarital sex. We were destroying each other. And a lot of people don't talk about the disruption that happens with the premarital sex. It's not discussed because grown folks haven't figured it out. So they're not teaching their kids.
Correct. Right. And then I think some people look at it as, a way, this is just what they're going to do anyway. I've heard grown people say they're going to do it anyway. They're going to do it anyway. Like it absolves them of their own parental responsibility. What do you say about that, Jeff?
Well, I'm a devout Catholic, and I was raised in the church, and it was actually a different perspective from us. If you were dating somebody at 17, 18 years old, it was assumed that you were getting married. So if you're dating somebody, you're going to get married, right?
Yeah, right.
I guess so.
Right. Right.
So you've got children getting married, and you should be friends first before you start acting like adults. Okay. You have children acting like adults by having sex and things of that nature.
Yes.
And so, I really think that at an early age, we are told by the media, music, television, celebrities, of what life is supposed to be. That's not life. That's a facade. That's that's nothing. That's a mirage.
Yeah.
And this is real life. Like Marjire was saying, you got married at 15 years old. I mean, she was still a child. And at 15 years old, and then she has to start raising her own child.
I had a baby at 15. I wasn't married.
Right.
I got married at 19.
So you're big, and again, in my psychological classes that I take with my outreach program, it's not your fault. Please sign up and subscribe. But that was, you have people that all the time, they have this mentality that if they go ahead and act like adults, they'll be adults. Wrong.
I just want to pause and say hello to Chris Highland of Courageous Media.
Hey,
Welcome
everybody.
to the show.
Thanks so much.
Hello, strong black man. Good job, Chris.
I know, right? As you know, we're talking about relationships between black men and black women. Interesting. Yeah. We have 2 black women and 2 white men, but Jeff said, don't adjust your device because he really is white.
That is so funny.
But we're just talking about, relationships and about people not being prepared for relationships, about the sexual relationships before you're ready for a serious commitment, people waiting. I was just saying the black community, the men seem to delay asking a girl to marry. To me, it seems like white guys are like, yeah, we're going to get married, and then the black guy be like, been dating 15 years. What we doing? Like, what? Yeah. I was in a relationship at one time for like 9 years. And I'll tell you what happened. I got saved and he didn't like the new me. He liked the old me. He liked the unsaved me.
Wow.
Well, the new me was like, okay, just like you say, no more sex, no more this, because I got Jesus.
Amen.
And then it just didn't work out. But in any event, we're just talking about the lack of commitment from men and them not growing up and just being immature and the whole dating scene. We're talking about specifically black men and women, but you know what? Anybody, because it's hard for anybody out here.
Well, I think the lack of commitment is really a symptom of the broader cultural decline that has happened ever since America has all but decoupled itself from its Judeo, even call it Judeo, but Judeo-Christian roots. Because marriage outside of that context is really a meaningless notion.
Right.
I mean, the legal basis of marriage is simply a contract. You can break it, remake it. You can have 6 of them. You can have 7 of them. How many did Liz Taylor have? I don't know. She was on 8?
8, I think. 8 or 9.
Oh, wow.
But the idea of, because God is the author of marriage, and the idea of a man committing to a woman for a lifelong committed partnership that is designed to be a safe place for both of them to be fully known and to raise children who themselves can be fully known and fully loved despite all of their flaws,
right?
Despite that they come out of the womb as little balls of sin. It's amazing. I mean, anybody who has kids knows, I mean, that they learn to say no and basically, with their eyes say, go screw yourself when you say no.
Yeah, bite, scratch, and head bunch and everything.
Amen.
So why commit? Like, for both men and women, like, what is the point of committing to a contract that can be broken like that often people are stepping out on? I mean, obviously, and I know from the group, we take marriage very seriously because we understand that God is the author and God is the witness, and it is, that's what it's all about. And that's really the only way that life works.
It's very important because I saw relationships in my younger years, like a little bitty kid. I would see my parents and grandparents, and they had some tough times. They had some really tough times, but they stayed together. People just didn't up and leave.
Yeah.
They just did not up and leave. Now people will just up and leave because you gained 20 pounds. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or they saw someone else that looked real sexy, or they're going through a midlife crisis and I want a young 20-year-old on my arm. And you 65, you left your wife for a 20-year-old. You look like a fool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, she waiting for you to die.
Chris can identify with this. You know, we both served our country, and we took an oath and we swore an allegiance to uphold the honor of this country, and be damned if we ever broke that oath. But people will stand up in front of God and make an oath to God and have no problem with breaking that oath.
Have mercy.
It's sad.
I think it speaks to the character of the person.
Yeah.
You know, I really do, because if you have that moral compass in you, you just can't do people like that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you just really can't. You know, some people can now. They'll lie, put their hand on the Bible, say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. I'll be with you through thick and thin, life and death or whatever. They'll just say it and don't mean it.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't bother them. Like they lose.
Oh yeah. And no effect. It don't affect them. At 19, I knew when, because I gave my life. I don't even say gave my life, but I decided to, okay, Lord, I'm gonna serve you. And you know, at 18, 19, and the Lord told me to get married. That's what He told me. And I wasn't, you know, I wasn't raised around people who were married.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see how that dynamic worked. I didn't really see a healthy husband and wife relationship consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing God is the only reason I was able to become the wife that my husband needed. Like, you know, like Brother Chris said, like knowing each other, you get into a marriage to know each other, but people, you know, you got to know God first.
Yes.
And then knowing of God will bring you to knowing your spouse and, you know, and knowing yourself, all of that stuff. But I knew at 19, I was like, I ain't finna be living with my baby daddy. Well, I'm like, we ain't doing that. I knew that at 19 years old. So a lot of these older folks that's tolerating this stuff, they're tolerating it. They're not setting a standard. I might have did it backwards. I got pregnant first and it was like, maybe we should get married. By the grace of God, He was like, okay.
But that, I mean, you know, at least it worked out. Thank God for that. And your children will be blessed for that. But I just find that this culture has turned from God anyway.
Yes.
I mean, not everybody, but generally speaking, you can see it in the music. You can see it in the media. What's promoted is relationships, sexual relations. Okay.
Yes.
Before marriage. That's what's out there. That's what you see every time you look at a movie or something, and they glorify it actually. Yeah. And the person that is waiting is trying to do it God's way. They're kind of picked on.
They're looking at relationships. Why should I get married? What possible benefit do I have by getting married? They think that they can get the same thing out of a relationship as they can out of a marriage. And it's totally different. It's totally different. Ask if any of you live with your spouse prior to getting married. Tell me if after you got married, you didn't go, oh, wow, this is different. It was different. Yeah. It was different because it felt different. You were now in a relationship that was solid. Yeah. That was a connection. You know, the little piece of gold on your finger and you're I don't want to say the word bound because my wife may watch this. You're joined together forever.
Yeah, don't say
the Lord, you know?
Don't say it like that now.
No.
Don't say the ball and chain.
Delete, edit.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but I just, you know, looking at Black men and women relationships, like I live near Atlanta, and Atlanta's got a lot of problems. LGBT is on fire. Yeah. It's crept into the churches. You got these men, Black men. You go downtown Atlanta on the weekend and gay Black men are everywhere.
Really?
Literally. When I say everywhere, they are everywhere. Okay. And that's the problem that Black women are facing also. Yeah. They don't want a man that's living like that. Maybe some women will accept it, thinking that's all she can do, but I don't recommend that. Because even my sister who lives in the area, she said that's a thing. Is a lot of bisexuality going on. That's tough. I mean, it's like you gotta. I mean, what do you do? Move. If you can just move. I mean, it's crazy.
Speaking from somebody who comes from a predominantly white family, I don't know about. I always thought in the black culture that was frowned upon. I always thought that, but
it is. But it's also. I don't know, Marjire, what do you think? Because I live near Atlanta and I've been hearing this for 20 years that there's a lot of men on the DL.
Mm-hmm. And why?
That makes it hard. That's another element. You got that, and then you've got, they don't want to commit, or they're married, or, you just got a bunch of issues there.
I think what I saw in my family, I can only speak on my own personal experience. Oh, why say he backstage? Oh, okay. I can only say what I noticed is that even though, it's supposed to be, homosexuality is supposed to be frowned upon. I think to some degree, hey,
wise of a righteous perspective. Thanks for joining. We're talking about those black men and women relationships. Yeah. Dr. Marjire, you're going to go ahead and continue.
I was going to say, I saw that even though it's supposed to be frowned upon in Christian households or whatever, but I saw a lot of it was like condoned. I saw family members told that they were gay, small, right? You got family members where they're allowed to call little children little gay boy.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw that as a child and raised up, and it was condoned. The homosexual lifestyle it wasn't frowned upon. Like the way it should have been. It wasn't like a, son or daughter, come out of that. That's not who God wants you to be. That's how we speak to our family now, but I didn't see that growing up. It was like, oh, it's cute, it's funny. Oh, little, playing little, gay stuff. It's funny.
And I got to say, in my family, it was definitely frowned upon. It was like, that is like literally like the worst thing. I mean, they were just really frowned. I just come from a religious family on my mother's side, and it was, you get married first, then you have babies. Homosexuality is like, oh my gosh, if they found out somebody was like that, they'd probably try to beat it out of them. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And I'm not condoning beating people. I'm just like, it was just not. It was frowned upon big time. So, Wise, I know you're late coming in, but, we're talking about, LGBT, we're talking about things that are problems in the Black community when it comes to relationships and what people are coming across. I live near Atlanta, and Atlanta has a huge LGBT population. And one of the things that I've been hearing for the past 2 decades is that a lot of Black men are on the DL in Atlanta. And it's already problems with people meeting people, finding that special someone. But then now they got this person that could be gay or bisexual. And it's also a problem. And we were talking about Black men generally don't want to commit as early in a lot of cases. So.
Give us the Caucasian perspective there, Wise, please.
Yeah, give us the Caucasian perspective.
Man, I jumped in on a daggone super hot topic. But to add to that, there was or is a video out there from Kendra G, and there was a young lady who has a young baby with a guy that she found out likes guys. And he left her for a dude.
Man.
So, and this is in Atlanta. This sister's in Atlanta. And, it'd probably be a good video to react. If y'all going on that, it would have been a great one to, kind of kick things off. But, there's a lot of that, going on in Atlanta. I mean, it's something, I grew up in that area. You guys know that. I grew up in the Atlanta area. So, it's probably a lot more blatant today than it was 30 years ago. But, I mean, it's always been something there, and it's a part of the culture. A lot of the reason why I didn't move back, home after joining the military is, a lot of that. I just didn't want to raise my kids, in an environment like that. So I chose not to do that. But there is definitely a lot of that going on. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of single women in the Atlanta area that want to find a good man, but it's like 20-1 there. And then the one, you also got to say, okay, is he even interested in women?
So
for a single woman in Atlanta, I mean, they're fighting an uphill battle trying to find a good man. And the guys that are straight, they know what the lay of the land. They know what it is. So they'll have 2 or 3 women because they can.
Right.
Because the competition is so fierce. And I don't know if you guys saw it. And this was probably about maybe 2 or 3 months ago. There was a brother who made a post on Facebook, said he was homeless, was looking for a place to stay. And, I don't know if he had a job or if he was in between jobs, something along those lines. But he was a kind of fair-skinned dude with some dreads. And he made a post on Facebook. It went viral. The amount of women that was like, they will take this man in. That just shows you how desperate a lot of these women are down there, in the city, man, because there's just not a lot of eligible, bachelors down there. And you also have a lot of women, unfortunately, that are, dealing with married men because, it's like shooting fish in a barrel down there for a man.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, so many things. My suggestion, I don't even know what to say other than move because it's so bad.
Yeah,
because
that is the suggestion. That is the proper suggestion. That's what I say all the time. Move.
Just change your environment, because if it's like that, I wouldn't even try to fool with it. I would just move. I'd just move. I just would, because I personally, being heterosexual, I wouldn't want somebody that I even have that thought in my mind that can be with a man. That's just not, no.
The problem might be more prevalent in Atlanta, but I don't think moving is going to help you all that much, because I think the problem is it's ubiquitous in America nowadays. And it seems like it's, there's a couple reasons for it. Obviously, our departure from following God, but at the same time, this sort of this rapid advance of cultural or progressive Christianity, which essentially divorces itself from orthodoxy and embraces this stuff, so that there's no real path out of it, because some of the, you'll go find, I would say, hey, go find a good church and find a man there. But depending on which church you go find, you got to make sure it's not progressive. It'll be full of those people.
Yeah,
it will be full of them. Honestly, I just saw this with I forgot the man's name, but he's over a church I want to say in Atlanta. He married to a man.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Andy Stanley. He's not married to a man, but he's embracing. He's supposedly. And now his father was Charles Stanley, who was a uber conservative evangelical, solid man of God. But his son has gone far afield to the point where he preaches sermons about basically detangling yourself from the Old Testament. We don't need that. We don't need the scriptures. You just need Jesus.
He even says it.
Oh, wow.
But Jesus divorced from the context of the Bible is whatever Jesus you want him to be. And that's the problem. And then you start getting into all of these other behaviors and things in life that are absolutely unbiblical. But no one's discipling people like that. Yeah. And so I think if you move, it may be somewhat easier, but you're going to find the same problems. I mean, the same problems exist in Dallas.
I say that because, all of those things are everywhere. But I was looking at this podcast called Hardly Initiated, and one of the ladies, Tiffany Montgomery, said it's everywhere, that lifestyle, but it's a principality over the city of Atlanta. It is just like, it's something that tentacles has gotten into that city. It might be a bit worse there. That's why I said, move.
Oh yeah. Well, Atlanta, they've been calling it the San Francisco of the South for a long time. For a very long time.
Yeah, because I thought that it was San Francisco, but then it became Atlanta. I was like, what?
Well, it's still both. It's both. But San Francisco is, more, I guess, for Caucasians, and Atlanta is more Black. It's the same thing. It's the same spirit, same type of issues going on.
Absolutely.
But, it's just the demographics are different.
Wise and I were having this conversation a couple weeks ago. because we were talking about my church, the Catholic Church, and our Pope is he's a progressive, and the one thing I always wrap my head around is I try and tell people all the time when they ask me about what's going on in the Catholic Church, I go, the Pope and the priests and the bishops and the cardinals, that's not the church. The people in the pews, the people in the chairs, that's the church, and they have to take their power back. And if you see a church that's going off the rails a little bit, you as the church, as the congregation, need to speak up and take that back. We're seeing it more and more lately, but I don't know if it's too late or not. I don't know.
Well, I don't even know if it's about a time thing, because this is written. The word tells you that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
The word tells you that there's going to be a ton of false teachers.
Yep.
I mean, they were talking about it, I mean, how many times did Paul have to chastise people because they were out of order? And we're living in those same times. So I don't think I really think it's a situation to where those that are true believers, you have to find the right place, and you need to flee from those places that are not biblically sound.
You do. I believe too, and this is just my belief, I believe that people who love God, who really hunger and thirst for God, if they get into a bad place and they see it, they will leave.
They will. Some people will. Because you also got to think, a lot of people look at the church also as community. It's a popularity club. It's almost, in my opinion, and I don't want to, it's almost like high school.
Yeah.
In some places. It's almost, you got the popular, they got cliques, they got the popular people,
Yes.
I mean, who knows the pastor the most? Who's going to dinner with, the first lady and the pastor?
Donate the most money.
It's real cliquish. Who donates the most money? You're absolutely right, Jeff. So,
that's
I mean, it's very high schoolish in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, I've run across some real snakes in the church. And it will turn you off. And it's unfortunate because you'll have some people that they go there because they want to get their lives right. And then they'll say, man, I come here and you let your guard down, and not realizing that you can't let your guard down in here. The devil's sitting right next to you.
Correct.
Yeah. So, and just bringing it back, to relationships between Black men and Black women. One of the things that we talked about earlier before you joined on, Wise, was that some men out here are childish, and they want a woman to be their mother, and not for the woman to take care of them. He just plays video games. He wants her to pay the rent. He doesn't want to work. That was something that we talked about. And we talked about interracial relationships, because there's a perception that white women are easier to get along with, that they put up with stuff and let the man get away with everything. So did you want to touch on one of those topics before we leave?
Well, I'll say this. When it comes to relationships between men and women, there's a couple of things, in my opinion. First off, I don't think that women should be dating men the same age. If you are a 25-year-old woman, you probably shouldn't be dating the 25-year-old man, especially in this day and age, because y'all aren't on the same wavelength mentally. Typically, a 25-year-old man and a 25-year-old woman, from a maturity standpoint, she is light years ahead of him.
That's correct.
And financially, we don't really get into our financial stride until we start really mid-30s. Let's just keep it real. And nowadays, you have a lot of women out here looking for a provider, protector type. And young men today at 25 aren't the same as young men 25, 30, 40 years ago. They're just not the same. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that parents, we coddle our children more than parents did 30 years ago. My father-in-law tells me stories of, walking by himself at 7 and 8 years old, had a job at 11. So by the time he was 25, he had been already working for, 10 or 15 years already.
Okay.
Wow.
So where a 25-year-old man now, he might just be getting his first job because he's had parents that have taken care of everything. So you get with a 25-year-old dude who just got his first job and you expected him to be something that he can't be for you yet.
Yeah.
So I would advise any young lady out there, if you're in your mid-20s, you realistically need to, and you're looking for a husband, you realistically need to be looking for men 5 to 10 years older than you. And then you guys will be on the same wavelength mentally. And he can show you that he can take care of you. If that's what you're looking for.
I got something to say, though. Sometimes, though, when you get them older, they might have some kids. I'm just saying. Some people don't want that. They don't want someone who's got kids already. And I'm just going to keep it 100. You know, Black folk, by the time they get that old, they got a couple of kids.
Maybe. Not necessarily, though,
Not
Linda.
all the time.
Not necessarily, Linda.
I disagree.
In the Black community.
In Georgia, where I am.
In the Black community, across the board, 50% of Black men are single, they do not have children, and they are in the middle class. That's over half.
What ages are they?
Adults.
Over age 20, over 25?
Yeah,
adults. Yeah. Most young people, I mean, nowadays, young dudes are barely even having sex. The young dudes, they're barely even getting touched.
Me too.
In this day and age.
I'm 58.
But I'm just saying
this is not a marriage problem show, Jeff.
That 50% of Black men don't have children, and that's all through up the age scale. 50%. A small percentage of men have the children.
Yeah.
And if you do get with a man, if he can show, the thing is that the mindset of, oh, let me find a man who has potential. I think it's a risk for a young woman. Mm-hmm. That man needs to show you that he can handle the role of taking your father's place. He has to be able to show you that he can do that. Now, I'm not saying he's got to be 100% where he wants to be at, but he's got to be able to show you some receipts that he's accomplished some things and that he can take you from your father and hold things down.
Exactly.
And continue to build and grow. And your job as his helper to make sure that he continues to build and grow. But he's got to show you something, man. There are too many stories of women out there, and this is all races. It's not just Black women, of all races, grabbing dudes for potential. But he was at his mama's house. You met him at his mama's house on the couch with a pipe dream.
Yeah.
And then you mad because it didn't turn into what you thought. Well, of course it didn't.
Yeah.
Some women think that they can change the man, or
women can't change men,
and they think they can, and of course they can't.
That's
can't
bad, and they're getting bad advice. Yeah. And that's why I say, 25-year-old woman should be entertaining dudes in their 30s, in their early to mid 30s. You got to think most men, we don't even reach our financial peak earnings wise until our 40s. So when you got women out here saying, I don't want to go 50-50. Well, if you're with a 25-year-old dude and you 25, y'all 50-50 in it. Yeah. Y'all might be 100-100. And we ramen noodling it.
Right.
Because it's hard out here in these streets.
His first job was
hard.
His first job was a Subway.
Yeah. I mean, we got people graduating college right now that are still bartending, you know what I'm saying, and working at Five Below and retail stores right now, because there really is not a lot of opportunities out there for young guys right now.
I think that's one of the biggest issues with relationships, though, that people don't want to struggle together. Everybody want to get into a relationship with somebody already got their stuff together.
Exactly.
Like, we struggled. Like, me and my husband, we grinded. I was 19, he was 21. But you're a different breed.
And I do agree with you there, because my parents did the same exact thing.
Yeah, we should be willing to grind together, like grow together, like.
But you got a lot. But social media has told a lot of these young women not to do that, because, and to be honest with you, to an extent, if I don't have daughters, but if I had daughters, I would probably tell my daughter, don't get in a situation where you got to go struggle with somebody. Don't do it. Now, I'm not saying that he's got to have, I'm not saying he has to have everything already, but he has to be able to show you that he's already accomplished some things, and that he's got a plan and a purpose, and he has a program that you can go be a part of. He has to show you that.
He's got to at least show, because one of the things that you were talking about, Linda, at the beginning is, these women are dating men who are sitting on the couch playing video games. And it goes back to how men and women rebel, against God. Women in rebellion take charge. They take the initiative. They become the leaders. Men in rebellion shrink back. And you've got to be able to reverse that role to make the relationship work from a long-term perspective. So a woman needs to be able to find a man who is taking initiative, who has work ethic. He doesn't have to have it all. He doesn't have to make 300 grand a year. He may be making 50 grand a year. But if that 50 grand a year is an honest, work ethic driven 50 grand with a man who is willing to step up and lead his family, you can be just fine. And then, as Dr. Marjire said, you guys can grind together to build something that's long lasting. But you can't change that guy into having a work ethic or taking initiative. Likewise, a man who gets a woman who wants to lead, who wants to be the head of the house, you are in for years of pain and misery because it doesn't work that way, because it's not the way God designed it. As much as you try to flip it on its head, it may work for a year or two, but eventually you're going to chafe at the edges, both of you. You're going to be miserable because we are wired a certain way. Nobody wants to admit that.
For sure.
Nobody wants to, say, okay, God really does have a plan and a design. No, we all want to rearrange the cookies. But that's the only way it works. And even when you look at people who aren't Christians, who aren't following God, when you look at marriages that work long term, they exhibit the same characteristics.
The principles work for them.
I agree, because the Bible does say the man is supposed to be the head of the household.
Exactly.
Christ is, man is the head of the house as Christ is the head of the church. But this modern day feminism, women.
And that's the other thing too. And with that, you got to think about this. 50 years ago, when a man came to take your hand, mom, dad, brothers, uncles, they're meeting that man. And they're making sure that you can take my daughter and don't bring her back.
Right.
That means that once I give her to you, she is your responsibility, bruh. Unless you die. Other than that, we need to know that you can handle this. And honestly, we need to go back to that. The reason why we're in the situation that we're in is because we're operating backwards. And you have women out there trying to either lead or trying to fix or change, trying to inspire. And if you got to inspire your man, you got the wrong one.
No, I wouldn't say so. We should inspire each other. Like, you should have a woman who has enough wisdom to inspire. Yes, absolutely, I agree with that. But I believe in a marriage, we should be able to inspire each other.
Yes, but he should be able to show his own initiative. I'm not saying that in a marriage that y'all aren't inspiring each other. But when y'all are in the courting stage and you're getting to know this man, you want to see that he got something going on. You want to see his drive, his initiative. You want to see you want to know what inspires you right now, because you don't have me to inspire you. So what's making you get up and grind every day? And you want to know these things, and you judge a tree by its fruit.
Exactly. Now, you definitely want to, you expect that of someone who's a certain age. I understand if you're 18, 19, 20, 21, and you're in college, you're in school, you're trying to get your degree. But by the time you get 25, 30, 35, I'm wanting to see some fruit.
Exactly. But that's the other thing, Linda.
Employed.
That's the other thing. When you have young women that go to college in that 4 years, in that 4-year time span, that is probably the only time in their lives as an adult that they're going to be around that many men, eligible men. Once you get out of that environment, then you're like, okay, how am I finding these guys? Where are these guys hanging out at? So I do agree with you, Marjire, Dr. Marjire. If you want to do that, snatch one of those dudes. The problem is you got a lot of sisters out there, they poor at picking dudes. They'll be in college dating dope boys. They'll be in college. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously.
For sure, though.
Like, you need to be dating.
And they ignore the dudes that are in college because they ain't got nothing right now. They broke just like you broke.
But
we eat noodles and pickles, just, you know what I'm saying?
One day you got to look at potential. You got to
but they don't understand. They don't understand that. They don't know what that looks like. And a lot of it has to do, especially in the Black community, when you got 70% of kids that come from single parent households, typically women, they don't know what a good man looks like. They don't know what that looks like. They don't have an example. So when you don't have an example and you're ignoring the dudes that show themselves as potential. They go to class, they got good grades,
Right.
dude's pre-med on his way to, whatever.
That's boring.
They don't want that guy.
Yeah, that's boring.
He's
I
boring.
like the
He's
good
not
guys.
exciting.
Thank
They don't
God
want
I
that
like the
guy.
good guys.
Yeah.
He's a little
Well,
frumpy. Now, all of a sudden, when he's 30, mid-30s, and he's getting to a bag, now all of a sudden, it's like, oh.
Now he looking good. Too late.
Yeah, but you too
You
late
didn't
now.
want me back then. Why you want me now?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's a lot of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
When you
And
think
on the
about
flip
this, man.
side, in that same single parent household, dilemma that we have, this basically epidemic, you've got boys growing up being raised by single mothers who don't know how to be men.
Exactly.
They grow up being perpetual, you can call them mama's boys, but they are perpetual adolescents. No one has ever taught them how to treat a woman, how to lead a woman, how to lead a household, how to take initiative.
Yes.
So you've got, some of these
Exactly.
guys sitting around on their couches, playing video games just because, well, that's all I ever know.
Yeah.
I mean, mom didn't know how to teach me how to be a man, because you need a man to do that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of times it's not even talk, it's example.
Yeah.
My grandfather never missed a day of work. Get up, rain, sleep, cold, sick, don't matter. Don't miss a day of work.
What you do speaks volumes because they're watching.
Exactly. We're watching.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a young man, like Chris just mentioned, that didn't grow up in an environment with a man, he doesn't understand how to be a man, and they mad like, oh, he's playing video games, he's doing this, that, and the third. Well, he ain't been taught anything else.
Right.
But then on the flip side of that, you have a lot of women out there that will run across a good dude and ignore that man because he ain't where he needs. He hasn't met his full potential yet, and they ignore that man.
And
You see that happen a lot.
And
Or as Dr. Marjire said, they're boring.
And also, I guess I got to say too, they focus too much sometimes on the material, on what someone has.
Yes.
Because like I said, when you're real young and you in college, of course you're not going to have anything. But does he make good grades? Is he always doing what he's supposed to do? How does he treat people? I mean, he works hard in school. That might translate over into working hard after he gets out of school. A lot of times when you're young, you just don't have a lot because you need good character too. He can have a lot of money, but he might cheat on you,
Yeah.
Or he might be on the DL. He might got some other issues. He might abuse you, but he got money. I mean, it's not everything.
Yes,
well, they put a high emphasis on money, and you have women out here paying 100% of the bills, talking about they don't want to go 50-50. And the reality of it is most people don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
The average earner makes $57,000, and in the Black community, it's $47,000 a year. Average person, but you're talking about you looking for somebody that makes $250,000. A lot of them have unrealistic expectations as well.
Yeah. And like I say, you just can't look at money.
Society's taught
character
people to come out of high school or even college with this promise of a rainbow as soon as they are ready to be on their own. And you can't have a rainbow without the rain. You have got challenges, what builds character. Challenges what builds your core character of who you're going to be later on. And struggles in life. I honestly think that most marriages that have a struggle and come out of it on the other side are stronger than ever. That's that fire that molds us together, that makes us into iron.
Right.
I would agree with that.
And I got to stop, guys.
Okay.
This has been a great conversation. Very, very good. Wise came in the thick of it. But I appreciate you guys for joining me on the show, the Linda B Show. I'll be sending you guys more information about some other topics that we can.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you guys for joining Dr. Marjire. Yes, if Marjire reacts. Jeff Sorrenta of It's Not Your Fault, Wise of A Righteous Perspective, and Chris Highland of Courageous Media. Thank you all so much. Guys, check them out on their YouTube channels, okay? I'm going to put all the information in the description. Thank you guys so much. Bye,
God bless you guys.
All right, that was it for the Linda B Show, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you can get alerted. Make sure you all be blessed. Thank you so much for joining, and until next time, see you then.